Think about the last person you fell for, or the person you're with right now. Now think about your childhood, the way love was shown, or the way it wasn't. The parent who was warm but unpredictable, the one who was always busy, the home that felt safe until one day it didn't. Most people think they choose who they fall for. Freely. On their own, they don't. Therapists who study this have found that the blueprint for who you love gets written before you're old enough to remember it being written. And you'll keep following that blueprint word for word until you actually see it clearly. And by the way, there's one love style on this list that almost nobody recognizes in themselves, even though it explains the most painful pattern in their love life. We'll get to that one last. Let's start with where the blueprint actually comes from. 1. Your first relationship was a blueprint. Have you ever wondered why you fall for the same kind of person over and over, even when it keeps going wrong? Most people blame bad luck or bad taste. That's not what's happening. Marriage and family therapists Milan and Kay Yerkovich studied thousands of couples and found that the way you were loved as a child quietly becomes the way you love as an adult. They call it your love style. It's not a personality trait. It's a survival strategy you built before you had any other choice, using whatever your home gave you to work with. Think about that for a second. You didn't pick your love style. It picked you back when you were too young to know any better. So before you blame yourself for who you keep choosing, ask a different question. What did I learn about love before I even had words for it? That answer explains more about your relationships than anything you've ever consciously chosen. And by the way, there's one love style on this list almost nobody recognizes in themselves. We'll get to it last. 2. The pleaser. Did you grow up trying to keep the peace? Reading a parent's mood the second they walk through the door? That's not just being a good kid, that's training. Pleasers usually grow up with a parent who is anxious, angry, or overly critical. So the child learns one job: keep them calm. Don't provoke anything. Be good, be quiet, be easy, and watch closely for the warning signs. Here's what that costs you later. Pleasers grow into adults who struggle to say no, who avoid conflict by giving in first, who read a room better than anyone because they had to learn it to survive. The skill that made you safe as a child can quietly exhaust you as an adult. So if you find yourself agreeing just to keep someone calm, notice it. Ask whether you actually agree or whether you're just protecting the peace again. Because you can't build an honest relationship while you're still managing someone else's mood. And hey, if you're recognizing yourself in this right now, hit that like button and subscribe. It helps us reach more people who actually want to understand why they love the way they do. 3. The victim. Did your childhood home feel unpredictable? Like you never knew which version of a parent was coming home that night? Most people just call that a hard childhood. It's more specific than that. Children in chaotic homes learn to disappear, stay quiet, stay small. Some build an entire imaginary world in their head just to survive the real one, somewhere calmer than where they actually were. That pattern doesn't stay in childhood. Adults with this style often have low self-esteem, and they tend to stay in relationships long after they should have left because leaving feels more dangerous than staying ever did. That's the strange part. Calm can actually feel suspicious to someone who only ever knew the storm right before it. So if calm makes you anxious instead of relieved, that's not weakness. That's a nervous system still waiting for the next blow-up, even when none is coming. Learning to trust quiet slowly is how that finally changes. 4. The controller. Did you grow up having to take care of yourself with no one really protecting you when things got hard? That teaches a very specific lesson. Softness gets you hurt. Control keeps you safe. People with this style learned early that vulnerability is dangerous, so they stay in charge of plans, of decisions, of everyone around them, because losing control feels exactly like losing safety itself all over again. Here's what most people miss. Controllers don't see anger as a weakness. They use it as armor. It keeps people at a distance their softer feelings never could, and it works every time, which is exactly why they keep using it. The anger isn't the real wall, it's covering one. So if you notice yourself needing to run everything your way, ask what you're actually afraid will happen if you let go, even just once. Because real closeness requires letting someone else hold something too, and that's the exact part control was built to avoid. 5. The Vacillator. Did you have a parent who was loving sometimes and completely unavailable other times with no warning which one you'd get? That inconsistency teaches something specific. Love is real, but you can never count on when it shows up. Children with unpredictable parents develop a deep fear of being abandoned. And when love finally does show up, they're often too hurt or too exhausted to actually receive it in that moment. As adults, vacillators fall hard and fast. They idealize new love almost instantly. Then the smallest disappointment can make the whole relationship feel like a betrayal all over again. Think about that for a second. You're not overreacting to small things. You're reacting to every single time love disappeared before this one. So if you find yourself swinging between obsession and doubt with someone, slow down before you decide what it means. Because the relationship in front of you isn't the one that hurt you first. 6. The avoider. Did your home value independence more than affection? Were you taught to handle things yourself early with little comfort ever offered to you? That builds a very capable adult, and a very lonely one. Avoiders learn that needing people is risky, so they rely on logic instead of emotion. They like space. They get uncomfortable around big feelings, especially their own, and especially the moment someone gets too close too fast. Here's what surprises people. Avoiders aren't cold. They're protecting something specific. The exact vulnerability they were never allowed to show as a child, kept hidden ever since, even from themselves. The distance isn't proof they don't care, it's proof they once cared and it wasn't safe. So if someone you love keeps stepping back the moment things get real, that's not always rejection. Sometimes it's just an old habit, doing exactly what it was built to do. 7. You are not your blueprint. This is the one I mentioned at the beginning. The love style almost nobody recognizes in themselves, the one they already healed without ever noticing it happen. Researchers call it earned secure attachment. It happens when someone with a painful love style ends up in a relationship or therapy that is steady and safe long enough that the old patterns simply stop being true anymore. Most people think their style is permanent. It isn't. It's a pattern your brain learned once, under pressure, to survive something real. And anything learned once can be learned differently, with enough time and the right person. Think about that for a second. The moment you can actually name your pattern is the first moment you ever truly had a choice about it at all. So look back at everything we just covered. The pleaser, the victim, the controller, the vacillator, the avoider. You probably saw yourself in at least one of them, maybe more than one. That recognition isn't a diagnosis. It's the beginning of rewriting it. Your childhood wrote the first chapter of how you love, but you're the one holding the pen now. You didn't choose the blueprint your childhood gave you, but you get to choose what you do with it from here. If this helped you understand your own pattern, subscribe. There's a lot more where this came from.